welcome to the Goffstown Economic Development Council meeting on August 2nd, 2023. If you could stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call here, starting with Jim.
Jim Craig, Select Board Rep.
Chris Barrett, alternate member.
Chet Bowen, Chair.
John Napoli, Vice Chair.
Charlie Birchmeyer, member.
Melanie Renfrew Hebert, member.
Derek Horn, Town Administrator.
Okay, great. And I know that Emma will be here in just a few minutes, so we'll get started with the approval of minutes. Everyone get a chance to read that through? Okay. Any corrections? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have to abstain.
That's right.
I was also not here. So
You know what? We're going to have to hold on to this for, we'll have to do this next time. I just realized, because you weren't here either, were you?
I was not.
Okay. Okay. We'll save that for next month. All right, so old business, we have meeting in Pinardville at Mountain View Brewery on 10/4/23. We are lucky enough to have Derek here tonight. Derek, quick question, not to put you on the spot. Our understanding is we can do this meeting as long as there's someone there to take minutes.
Yes, as long as there's somebody there to take minutes. If you're just speaking and not making any decisions, just kind of having conversations, they don't have to be verbatim.
Okay.
But yes, you would have to call the meeting to order.
Yep.
Take a roll, and then you'd be, and then when you close the meeting. So you would have to have somebody take minutes, yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
And we'd also have to post 24 hours in advance.
Got it, great. So what I will do, just put this on me, is I will reach out to see if we can have someone take minutes for us. Anything else on that? I know that we all have planned on, I know that Sarah's not here, but I know she was asking some other businesses to attend. Did anyone else get a chance to invite anybody else from the area? Okay, so I'll reach out to Sarah as well. I know who other businesses that are attending. And then I do know Joanne was going to talk to us about the meeting, about the dam update at St. Anselm. I think it's just letting us know what's happening. Derek, do you have any other information on that?
So the meeting, it's going to be conducted by the staff from DES. They are going to be speaking about all three dams, the Hadley Falls, Greg's Falls, and Kelly's Falls, and what's transpired with those. Trying to think what else. We've invited all of our state reps, state senator, executive counselor, and we'll be reaching out to the governor's office as well to make them aware. The state has surrendered the license for Hadley Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kelly Falls dams, the power generator has put in an application to surrender their license.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Jim.
Is Manchester invited to that?
Yes, I invited Senator D'Alessandro. He's unable to attend. We can let the city of Manchester know as well.
Yeah, they make one now.
Yep.
So I was going to ask Jim, does the select board have a stance on that? Or any particular dam, or all three of them?
Well, right now it's kind of wait and see, right?
Yeah.
I think, there's not much we can do unless we come up with $10 million. It's kind of the, and Hadley's really the one on the firing line right now, right?
Yes, and the board did vote back in May to communicate to DES to have them move forward with feasibility studies for what the options are if they were to remove or breach that dam. But there's been no formal decision on Kelly Falls at this point,
So just a general question. Is it possible that the feasibility and dismantling comes close to that $10 million, or is that...
Does the cost?
The cost of dismantling, is that definitely way less than what it would be to repair the dam?
It's not that it's less, it's that they can tap into different sets of money. That is how it's been explained to us. When it's a hydroelectric dam that is making money, earning revenue, and the state is getting a lease, there's not a federal bucket of money that they can tap into. If it is one that's being breached or to improve the habitat for natural species, there is a pretty big bucket of money for that. So they're able to tap into that. Also, we were told at the second May meeting that to repair the dam, you'd actually have to remove it completely and drill into the bedrock and almost start over.
That's Hadley Falls.
That's Hadley Falls, yeah.
And that house, the two houses right there might come down.
Yeah.
Both of them? I
Well,
thought
one is bad enough, I mean,
Yeah.
because that's what makes it
Yep.
dangerous.
Yeah.
It puts it at the highest level to do something.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So just for the record, we had a conversation, Joanne and I, with Main Street, and the conversation from our purview was about the businesses and how they're affected, and certainly things like the regatta and other items where the river plays a big role came up. The challenge in coming up with a letter or anything in support was that we attempted to get information from each of the businesses, even a percentage of what those events bring them in for revenue each year. And we didn't get a lot of feedback from that, so we weren't able to gather the data that we would like. Even if we had, the clear issue after that would have been proving that the river itself is the draw or the biggest piece that would bring the business in. So we certainly faced our challenges, but gave it a shot. So from a business standpoint, I think that's what we attempted to do, and it really didn't lead as far as I was hoping it would. So any other thoughts on that, questions? So $10 million?
What'd they say, be $7 to $10 million?
They were speaking on an order of magnitude.
Yeah.
They really don't know how much it would cost.
That's part of it.
They own 270 dams throughout the state that are maybe in similar situations.
Sure.
They estimate it could be upwards of $440 million worth of capital investment that they would need to do, so.
They kind of made it clear that this is not high priority for them.
Yeah, they basically said they want to get out of the dam owning business.
Understood. Emma, welcome to the meeting, by the way, sorry.
Thank you.
As far as the $10 million, if you put in 50, I'll match it.
Okay.
Okay.
You win the Mega Millions.
I won $16 on the Powerball last night, so.
Very
I'm
good.
almost that.
Very
We're
good.
almost that. Yep.
They'll sell you the dam for $1. You know.
Yeah, as long as I
They're
maintain
50
it.
cents, 50 cents.
I'm over that.
Then you gotta pay.
The next order of business is new business. I spoke with Joanne before putting this on here, just so everyone's aware. And we had a conversation, and it's about a full-time economic development director. And really, the genesis of thought for me was that I've been on this board in one way or another. First as an alternate, then a member, then as the select board rep, now as chair. And a lot of incredibly talented, creative, highly intellectual people have come and go. And when they leave, it's the same answer every time, is that we are here, we have a lot of great discussion, we think we have these ideas, and then we come back the next month and have almost the same discussion, or there's been no movement. And I think, and I want to open this up for conversation, but I think that there are some people here who do go out and they put effort in, but if we're talking about larger projects that a council like this should be looking at, we're talking about expansion of the sewer, natural gas, making sure that we are creating maybe site-ready plans down the line to attract businesses and support the ones that are here. It is difficult for those of us with full-time jobs or those of us with children and all the stuff that comes with it to move the needle on our own in between. So to me, the natural response, again, given our narrow view and our narrow focus, would be looking at the possibility of a full-time economic development director. And I wanted to bring that to all of you and get your thoughts on whether or not you think that would make sense to pursue and why. So I'll open it up with that. Any thoughts? Melanie, I see you thinking.
Well, my overarching thought is that when you really want to make change on something, you need to dedicate the resources for it.
Sure.
And that involves a full-time person who can dedicate their time and effort and energy to the research and the actions necessary to, like you said, move the needle.
Mm-hmm. So you'd be in favor of giving this a shot then, if I'm hearing you correctly?
Yes,
Okay.
with caveats
Yep.
of cost. things like
Absolutely.
that.
Yep.
Do other towns our size have it? I feel like that would be a
So
great-
Joanne did
Thank
leave
you.
some notes.
Yeah.
So the city of Nashua and the city of Manchester both have a dedicated department. The town of Exeter does have an economic development director. Londonderry does not, her notes indicate integrated with assistant town administrator. Bedford, they abolished that position in 2009. There's an assistant town manager, and those are part of that position's duties. Hudson, no. Concord actually eliminated the position. I know that Chet has a job description, but they eliminated the position. Bow, Milford, Epping, no. So really, you're looking at Nashua and Manchester, which are cities, so it's very, much larger, and then Exeter, yes. So that's pretty much what her notes say.
So we don't compare it in any way to Nashua or Manchester. What about Exeter? How large is Exeter compared to us?
I can find it in a second.
Sorry, thanks. Go ahead, John.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
I dare say
Oh.
Exeter's a bit more wealthy than we are.
Agreed.
Exeter is a smaller population-wise, but they have much more commercial development than Goffstown does.
Are there barriers to having a person, I don't know if there's an ability for, a contract for a certain period of time, so, or any barriers if we go after, if we say we hire somebody into this position after a couple of years, and if we still haven't moved the needle, what would be the options at that point? Just eliminating the position, or a contract position, or?
Yeah, all of those really, it would really, it ultimately would be up to the governing body to put it as part of their, select board as part of their budget, and then go to the budget committee and the voters ultimately.
I have to, I'm, in the back of my brain, I'm thinking, as a community economic development specialist, this is something that I recall that there was funding for, not that long ago, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago, when towns started really looking into increasing development, and I wonder if there's still funding available to help fund a position. I mean, it's always worth looking.
Yeah, I mean, comparing to, other similar boards, that I'm on, just professional boards, I mean, volunteer boards, like you said, Chet, it's really tough to have that time, and if you want to expand the scope of what you're doing, you need those boots on the ground. There's only so much that volunteers can put into that time, and so, one of our other boards look for either management companies or whoever else to be able to help do that work, and there's a cost associated with the expectation that your growth outweighs that and helps fund that and more. So, I think with more information, I think this is definitely something that we should look at exploring for this group.
So with that being said, I can tell you some things that have been tried. I think Joanne has made it clear. Scott became very frustrated, knowing that, asking, hey, can you help us out? People are saying yes, and then not so much. It doesn't happen, so he wasn't able to do as much as he wanted to do. Prior to that, we had looked at getting a couple of students from St. A's, and I had met over there myself, and they was basically like go to their handshake system and try to find someone, and that became very difficult. We didn't find anybody that way, and we even had funding for it, so it could have been sort of a paid internship. Not a lot, but it could have been a paid internship. We can look at all the options, even maybe part-time. All of this, I think, Jim, you could say it all exists within the context of the larger community and what we're looking for. And I think that's the question. Are we looking to offset a tax base?
Well, I was thinking, politically, with the reeval and everything, this is might not be a real good year to create new positions and things like that. Just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's something to think about.
it is something to think about.
It could be a position that grows and starts part-time with potential to move forward and full-time. Though that's gonna slow growth too.
Right, but I think what you were getting at before was could we make this, almost a merit-based position if we started it part-time? Like, our proposal would have to really make this clear, because to Jim's point, I've sat in the select board, you bring something new in a time like this, it's a tall order. So maybe it would look a little bit like part-time with metrics in place, constant evaluations that lead to results that we can show to any property taxpayer, like, hey, we're bringing in these new businesses, this is going to help offset the rate for you a little bit over time. These are all things, so I know that we can't create that description right here and now, but I really was talking to Joanne and asking someone, I think to Derek's point, some assistant town managers do that. Our assistant town manager is, there's so much that she does, there's so much that Derek does. Joanne, planning is such an important piece and such a, it takes so much time that asking her to also do this and move the needle for us in between does not seem viable. And that's not a lack of effort, that's legitimately a lack of time. So what I'd like to do with, and anyone here can join me, I talked to Joanne, is just meet with Joanne, put something together within context that we think would make sense and bring it back here, bring it to you, we can take a look, and even if we don't vote then, but vote the next month after we talk about this, bring something forward to the select board to see if they will take a look at it. We would, one of us, myself probably, and anyone else would go to the meeting and make the case and see if they will vote something in or out. Yeah.
When you say bring something forward, are you talking about just a proposal, or are you talking about actually fleshing it out, like looking at job description and things like that? Because, I mean, obviously the money is a big factor. Where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Part of me kind of wants to know, okay, Bedford and Concord eliminated their position. Why is that?
Yep.
Was it because they found that it wasn't useful, or was it budget cuts that we're all facing and it was just something that was easy to cut? I mean, I feel like we almost have to, before looking at job description and things like that, really looking at, okay, if this isn't the best time to do it, but we still want to push it forward, what are we going to be able to measure with this position? What are our quantifiables? Like, what are we going to, and is it just that business retention, new business? I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that we can pull, but I almost feel like we have to come forward with specific things to say, this is what we're going to look at to see if this is working and if we're actually getting the value that we were expecting out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Charlie. I think any proposal, and I think it's a great idea to be able to, again, expand what we're trying to do and actually convert on a lot of the great ideas. But I think maybe part of that brainstorming and exploring that position is taking a look at what are those measurables, what are the goals of that position. I think we can, probably have some ideas out of the other job descriptions, but if we're going to pitch this, I would presume that the select board is going to want to know what are the...
I think they'd like to hear that, okay, we can make the town money with this, and this is how.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean you're gonna get it either, but,
Right.
that's what would make people, if you give us this, this is what they're gonna do, and this is the money that we think we can generate, and this is how we can do it, then you get something to talk about
And I think,
in a bad year.
speaking of timing, like you brought up, Jim, I think, if it isn't right now, I mean, it gives us some time to think about this, but hopefully, I think it would be great to marry some of the results of the survey that Scott's doing with, these are the identified issues that our town businesses are facing, and then rolling those into the goals of those position and developing what are those metrics that we're gonna, measure for that position, and be able to help extrapolate out what the potential money at the end of the day, the revenue would be generated for the town, return on the investment of this position.
All good points. Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
ask what, from a history perspective, what happened with St. A's? Like, was it just we spoke to a random person, it was a young kid, they didn't, it wasn't something that fit, or was this like a strategic, let's partner with St. A's, they've got students, they've got people that are studying, economics, they're studying like whatever they're studying, but maybe this can be something they have towards a course or like credit or something like that, where we're not committed from a financial, there can be, it's like an internship, right? There can be some compensation, but not something too onerous on the taxpayer, but we're also getting
a body in to be able to partner with us but having official buy-in from the school. I just don't know what, like, the history and if we can try it. To me, that seems like an easy, safer way to like dip our toe into it to see if this would be something that works, and giving a kid, you know, an opportunity to do a project or something like that and gain credit. I don't know.
I think it's a good idea. This was years ago, so I'm trying to make sure that my memory is correct, but I met with Dean of Students, hoping, to your point, that it'd be someone in business, has an entrepreneurial mindset, or just a business mindset in general, and left with paperwork on how to just go to Handshake, which was sort of like, I'll hand this back to you, you find the students you want to find, and if I recall, I don't know if it was just prior to 2020, so it fell apart there, but I remember there was also concern about us not being able to pay the person. They couldn't do a paid internship. I mean, small things that could have been overcome, but there was a number of small things that came together that didn't work. But I see no reason we couldn't try that again. Certainly, and I think if we gave it another shot, it might work out.
And maybe with this in mind, you could combine a part-time director with a couple of interns, and you sort of have guidance and some extra legs to do some work.
So, if maybe we hold off, what I'm hearing is it's a good idea, but we have a lot more questions than answers right now. And I agree that if you bring something to the select board, it better be in its final form, and you have to be prepared to answer a lot of questions that they will rightfully ask. So maybe the conversation really centers around, why are we not able to succeed in trying to do what we do? And bring that back to the table and figure out every option available. You had mentioned funding. I think you're talking metrics and goals. I think that makes a lot of sense. And see what else we can do in the meantime, and maybe suss that out given the context of where we're at as far as what year we're in and how things are going, and continue that conversation month to month. I do think that it is and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm trying to be realistic. I think it is I don't think it's a great use of our time to talk about sewer expansion and expansion of natural gas, knowing that not a single person in this room will have the time to understand the regulatory requirements and how all that works and put all that time in between. So maybe now it's, if we are going to look at those goals, what are our options prior to a full-time candidate or a part-time candidate? And try everything. So maybe that would be a better use. What do we think?
I think it's, I think it's worth exploring further and just vetting out. So I think, what we're doing tonight is, bringing up the idea that I think that we can just further explore, and, the ups and downs. And if we're going to eventually pitch this, or going from that perspective, if we were to pitch this, what are we going to need to come to the select board with? And really formulating a business plan for that we feel comfortable, justifying, and see where that takes us. I mean, it doesn't hurt exploring.
Sure.
In that position, for sure. I mean, there's nothing to lose in that. Worst that anybody can say is no. But right.
Truth.
I think a chat with Concord and the other town that dropped theirs would be a good place to start before you go, because they may tell you some things that may change your mind.
Yeah.
Before you even start and go down the road.
And a chat with the other towns about what they've accomplished because of it.
Yeah.
Specifically Exeter, I would be interested in they're comparable size-wise, and obviously more affluent, but that would be a goal.
Just from a regulatory purpose, if we were to look at this, would we need to have a dedicated, subcommittee of this group?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
meet outside and talk about it, yeah.
So what I propose, and anyone can join me, I can usually set a meeting in between the meeting with at least Joanne to have a conversation about the job description. She may have some of those answers. Knowing Joanne, she very well might have the answers about why someone had canceled, or what, did Bedford, I think we all have seen, is pretty built out. So was that canceled because they succeeded so much that there was not as much left to do, and they could roll it into a different position, or another reason? And certainly Concord, we had the economic development director from Concord at this meeting 5 years ago, and there was a lot of excitement around it. So actually, I am very interested to see why that had happened. So I can at least ask Joanne those things and follow up between this meeting and next, come back with a report, and then we'll go from there. Does that sound okay? Does anyone want to join me with Joanne, or at least be on the email?
I can.
All right.
Yeah, I would like just to be, I mean, either join you or either way, just so I'm just curious as to what comes from that and what Joanne is able to answer.
Okay. So I'll reach out. Joanne is very good at getting back to me. Do you know, Derek, if she's out just today, or if it was extended?
Just
Okay.
today.
So I'll email her tomorrow then, and I'll have you three on that. Great. Well, job description is the next piece, but I think Joanne and I, when we spoke, we were thinking we'd come up with some sort of job description, but I think wisely pare that down a little bit and take it a little bit slower. So we'll work from there. And then further planning for meeting in Pinardville. No, just checking. Just check. So I think it was probably just about making sure that we have someone to take minutes. So I will I think Gail takes them after the fact for us now, so I'll check with her first and see if she can do minutes.
Give her a beer.
Yeah, I'll say I will buy you a beer to do that. Any other, I mean, I know it's kind of a quick meeting, but it'll help us. Any other thoughts? I will say that I think it's good to bring this to all of you because I got better ideas than what I had. What I was going to say is if we're not successful in getting somebody in here to move the needle, it's really figuring out what we're doing and what our purpose is and figuring out a path forward that actually leads to something. Maybe it's much smaller than what we looked at before. Maybe it's much bigger, but we know it's going to take 20 years, so we just start it. I think that we just need to talk about really what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. I also think it is incredibly useful to help the current businesses through Scott and make sure that we are doing that. But what I was hoping for was that as a council, we would be able to find ways to attract new businesses. We have 44 years as our median age in Goffstown. That's a customer base that exists right for you, where usually people are at their highest earning or approaching it or there. That's good news, and I'm not sure how we find a way to get that out to other businesses without having things like site plans and ensuring that when they come in and they see the planning board that they are 100% fully backed, supported, and ready for what's going to happen when they walk in that room, so that we become attractive to other businesses. So those are things I think we could focus on if this doesn't go through. Anything else from anyone else that they would think we'd focus on? Not everybody at once.
I think maybe just continuing to streamline the process
Sure.
and make it as accessible as possible.
Yep.
I think they want to be here, but they don't want to have to be here all the time to do things. So we heard that with some of the people who presented for us. You know, the kind of back and forth was a bit. The people who helped were friendly. That was kind of the overall thing.
Melanie, I am so sorry. I know you're making a good point, but when you use the collective pronoun they, can you define they?
The individuals who came to talk to us about their experience in opening a new business.
Oh, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
No, that's all right. Thank you. Context is important. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Just thinking that's a question to ask when Sarah's here.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second.
Second?
Okay. Motion by Melanie, second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Chair?